Okay.
But yeah, so it's like, hey guys, it's me Adios here with a brand new video, and I'm here with Jenny. So Jenny, that do you want to go out and like say who you are and like what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Jenny with Jenny's Baked at Home. Um, just going by Jenny's these days because I don't necessarily do baked products. It's more of just of a double entendre. I'm out of New York. I am one of the licensed THC holders, but for years I've been a manufacturer in CBD for about 8 years, and championing both CBD and THC now.
Okay, cool beans. So is it that you bought it like that you're one of the only people that has a THC product? So is it a small handful of people, or is it like a large group? Do you know how many people have that license up in New York?
Yeah, there's only about 38 processors, manufacturers, and distributors in New York. However, there are about 200 cultivators, growers, and there's soon to be roughly 170 to 200 dispensaries open by the end of 2024, we're hoping.
Okay.
Or 2023, actually, before 2024, but we'll see how that rolls out.
Yeah, true that stuff can always change, and especially with the government too. I think stuff can always happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the government is wanting that in this case for things to open a little faster, but there's a lot of roadblocks for stores opening with, sort of like alcohol where can't be close to a school, you can't be close to a church, and those sort of stipulations.
Okay. But yeah, so it's like I'm wondering because obviously like you got places like Washington State and Colorado who were famously the first two states that start to legalize CBD and marijuana. So yeah, I'm wondering that when did New York start to kind of like allow that and like start to legalize that a little bit?
Yeah. So, yeah, you're definitely right. Colorado was the first, especially with CBD, to take the initiative to say that it was used for medical purposes. Children who had epilepsy were showing wonderful signs of reducing their seizures by sort of structurally taking CBD in a morning, late morning, early afternoon, that sort of thing, 4, 5, 6 times a day, and dialing off the medication that made them feel sluggish, impeded their learning. So yeah, Colorado definitely should be revered and honored for being the first premier to take the risk to say this should be not a Schedule 1 drug. And then other states like Washington, California followed suit, and eventually we create the farm. Let's see, it was the uh, Farm Act um, bill was passed, and that allowed CBD to drop off Schedule 1 on the DEA scheduling of drugs, and to be able to you could transport it from state to state, and that I would say was around maybe 5, 6 years ago that happened. But we've been seeing CBD before then.
Okay.
About 10 years ago. No, I don't think so. 5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say because it's I do know that CBD, especially over here, is a somewhat new thing.
Yeah.
Like again, like the past 5, 6 years, I would say I've kind of noticed it more around
Right.
here.
Right. So I'm going to say 5, 6 years is when we started to see the Schedule 1 drop, and it not be, I don't believe it's a schedule anymore at all. I don't even think it's a
Okay.
Schedule 2. But now it's considered more. So now we're sort of fighting this battle of THC versus CBD, and is the plant a THC plant? Are we getting THC from CBD plants? And so I think there's a lot of nuances to this plant that we're still trying to figure out. But CBD is the non-intoxicating part of the plant, and it is psychotropic. It does hit parts of the brain, but it doesn't make you high. It just helps regulate the chemistry in your body. It's great for circulation. Um, and anti-inflammatory, which can really help a lot of oxygen to parts of the body, the brain, to muscles, to all sorts, to your spine, to your kidneys, all sorts of things to keep the blood flowing in your body to prevent things like seizures and inflammation that could maybe you could have an accident from a swollen ankle, something like that.
Yes, as I will say, I do use your products, obviously. So, I do recommend if anyone does want to buy from Jenny, I do recommend from her. And I have noticed that with my shoulder and my knee, a little bit like it helps with that. And then obviously like with the whole anxiety, depression thing, that's another big part of it. I like heard a lot of people talk about, which that's why I take it for my anxiety and depression.
Yep. So the anxiety part, I really believe that the inflammation, we suffer from inflammation so much in our life because of the foods we eat are so high in sugar and salt, and processed, that, we clog up parts of our body that needs the blood flow, and that's part of the brain. And when we have really good circulation, if you're working out or you're doing yoga or you're concentrating on your breathing, it's very similar to CBD. It allows the body to get oxygen and flow more properly, and regulate your chemistry. So it's just keeping that body in motion. And CBD is sort of like the lazy man's version of yoga. But yeah, so I think that overall it's a great, and I think we're learning, and there are more studies coming out about how it does help with PTSD and definitely depression. So thank you for using my products. Thank you for such a great customer in all these years, Matt.
Yeah. So thank you, by the way, for because obviously seriously, I actually know you obviously through my uncle who I think the first time I met you was at a party that he threw a while ago. That you sold the products, I think.
Yeah, I sold products at your uncle's party. Probably was the pumpkin carving party.
Probably.
Yeah.
So like he definitely goes all out with that. Like I'm not remember like Jim Steaks was always through every single year he did it too.
Yeah.
But actually that there's another question. So it's like that, why did he want to get into the CBD business? Like that obviously I don't want to assume anything, but I imagine this probably wasn't something that you pictured as a kid, like as an 8-year-old, like to be like, oh, I want to own a CBD THC place. But what made you get into this business?
That's a good question. So when I was little, I wanted to be an artist. And so I went to art school when I graduated high school. And then I went, got my master's, and I went all over the world and did art, and I loved art. And so I think that what I really love to do is design products or design things that people want, like, love, or can use. So for 15 years, I designed modern children's furniture, but it was green and sustainable. So it was formaldehyde free. It was, if it was the textiles, it was organic and low impact dyes and organic cotton. So then I exited that company, and about a year after that, I got cancer, and I decided to use cannabis instead of radiation or chemo or some drug called tamoxifen that is been proven to, studies have shown that it discourages cancer from coming back, but it also has a lot of side effects. So I decided to use a natural thing like cannabis in place of it. So I couldn't find a lot of really good products out there that weren't filled with sugar or that weren't that I was looking for healthy products. And being an artist and a furniture designer and maker, now I knew I could do products, and now I was excited to finally make something that I could maybe help other people the way I helped myself.
That's very cool. So I'm assuming that you beat the cancer. So congrats.
Thank you so much. So far, so good. Knock on wood.
That's good. Yeah. So it's like I've definitely known people that had cancer and had to go through chemo, and that's definitely a very rough process to see someone go through. And, yeah, I imagine it's probably a lot worse to actually go through it like themselves. And I imagine it's probably a lot worse to actually go through it like themselves. And, yeah, I imagine it's probably a lot worse to actually go through it like themselves. And I imagine it's probably a lot worse to actually go through it like themselves. So see, I think that CBD can be a good way if so obviously like if it worked for you, I think I could like I think it could work for a lot more people, and hopefully it gets more research and more funding. So hopefully it's more available to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, it's really a journey. It's everybody's personal journey and really depends on what level the cancer's at and diet and exercise. And I did have my cancer surgically removed. So I just chose the the post uh procedures a little differently than maybe traditional, but everybody should really speak to their doctor and really go introspectively and decide what's the best path for them.
Yeah. So actually, that this is my next question, and obviously, I'm gonna try to play devil's advocate here a little bit, but seriously, I've known many people who have smoked or like smoke marijuana or eat it and stuff, and so this is not everybody. It's a very individualized thing, as you just said. That, but like I've noticed some people. So see, I don't want to call it an addiction, but it's like a very strong habit or like a very just strong thing where they kind of have. So it's almost like withdrawal symptoms a little bit.
Mhm.
Like if you don't smoke it enough. So that do you think that there is some type of
Yeah.
addiction to it for some people, even though like even chemically, if it's not like an addiction, do you think that there is that
Mhm.
strong habit or like addiction of it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so I have a lot of theories and um unfortunately in the United States it's been federally illegal for over 100 years. So we haven't been able to study it enough, enough studies that can give conclusive evidence to different things. So it's a lot of people speculating. So I can only speculate as well. But I think that what makes it is non-addictive. Your body can't doesn't physically. So cannabis, it works with your system called the endocannabinoid system, and that system is very similar to the sort of the DNA structure of cannabis and works in tandem. So your cannabis comes into your body, and the receptors, kind of like to say that the receptors grab it. um the cannabis grabs the receptors like a maybe a mitt and a baseball. But if you use something like Oxycontin, the Oxycontin grabs the receptors, whereas it's vice versa with cannabis. So Oxy will paralyze the receptors and cannabis will work together with it. So what makes something addictive is when it's not while it's happening, it's the withdrawal. So if your body needs more to feel happy or to feel or physically needs to function with it, it can no longer do the same functions like maybe produce certain serotonins or dopamines, which is what some of the antidepressants and pain medication does. It paralyzes your dopamines, your endorphins, whereas cannabis doesn't do that. However, some people really have a low well of dopamine or endorphins, and what cannabis might do is make them feel a little bit more normalized. And so instead of like physically being withdrawing, they might be mentally withdrawing. And it just made them feel better. So we definitely need to watch our intake, whether that be, anything. Too many apples can be toxic. I mean, you'd have to really eat a whole lot of apples, but you could overdose on apples. There's a chemical in there, a natural chemical that's not good when you eat 3 bushels. That make it poisonous. But everybody needs to watch their intake of everything, and you might need some cannabis in your body, but maybe you've gone over the limit of what your body needs, and now you're just numbing instead of a therapeutic approach to it.
Okay.
So I think that's where people, you can't blame cannabis for that. You have to blame the person, right? The person
Yeah.
needs to regulate themselves and understand. But we are, I believe some people have little, the well is very low with cannabis. Some people it's leveled, some people it's up high. So some people say, oh, I can't do it, I feel sick when I do it. Maybe they have enough cannabis in their body, enough cannabinoid receptors that they don't need it very much. Some people feel that way with melatonin. We produce naturally melatonin. So, but as we get older, it depletes in our body. So when you're younger, you might not need it. Might make you feel sick, but as you get older, it might make you feel a little better and help you sleep a little bit.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so see, I think I probably could have used a better word than addiction, just because again, like as you said, like it is like up to the person
Yeah.
that, and so again, so see, I always have this theory, which again, I'm not like a doctor or like like, I don't have a PhD, but like I always had a theory of that, like so it's like each person has that one thing that like that the second they do like find it or do it, it just goes straight to the brain, and like so see, again, like I think for some people it is CBD or cannabis. Like some people
Yeah.
might be gambling or drinking, so that's what I was
Right.
trying to get along with. Like
Right. I think, it's yeah, I wouldn't put it with gambling
right,
or
yeah,
yeah, but I know what you're saying by it releases a dopamine. It makes them feel good. I think the problem with some people is they overuse it and now they don't even know what they're feeling anymore. Maybe they overuse anything. They stop feeling what the good feeling is, and now it's just an overuse.
yeah. So it's like so it's like I know for a lot of people have this. Like I have this with the Xanax. Like I took too much Xanax at one point, which is
Yeah,
a very addictive. Like it's that I do think is very addictive.
it is. It's addictive. Physically, it's addictive. Your
Yeah.
body will depend upon it to produce a chemical in your body that makes you feel good. And when you withdraw from it, your body physically gets sick.
Yeah, so see, I remember that when I first started to use your products, I was trying to come off of that, and I was trying to use the CBD for that, like as a
Yes.
replacement behavior. I guess it was like a replacement thing, which I think
Yes.
helps a lot because so it's like
Yeah.
Xanax and like alcohol. If you try to cold turkey it after a while, like it can mess up your brain, like like you can have seizures and all that. So I think that CBD or THC could be a good replacement for some things like that.
Definitely. And it's, but it's like you and I worked at slowly reducing the Xanax and adding a little more CBD. So we have to be careful because we have to basically retrain the receptors and not crash them.
Yeah.
So we worked very gently to come down, and then now we come back up on the CBD and we replaced it. And now, I'm sure all sorts of things, you start to feel you have better eye vision, better sleep, better circulation, better moods, that sort of thing. And we just figure, and then once, you get going, maybe a couple of years, you have to adjust it just like anything else, like your vitamins. And we
Yeah.
all have to adjust it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that's what I've been trying to do lately. I've been trying to adjust some things because it's like I know for me, like, I found the perfect combo a couple years ago, but now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to change this again because I think my body's getting used to it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's like I think it's you brought up the whole federal level, how it's not legal federally, but that do you ever think that one day maybe that they will look at it and maybe like overturn it at the federal level? Because
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that that's already gone to the Senate floor for discussion. That they want to start to open the discussion about decriminalizing it and expunging records where people have been convicted for cannabis. I think that is the first step is to discuss convictions, and that states are becoming legal, and that we need to address this and stop allocating funds for cannabis for arresting people, and to move towards decriminalizing it federally. And that's the first step.
yeah.
But they discussions, and certainly Biden has discussed that. I think we're many years off because I want everybody to know that we're over 100 years in a prohibition. So, liquor only lasted around 10 years in a prohibition. Cannabis has been 100 years. So it's going to take a lot of unpacking and re-regulating and revisiting the cannabis laws and taxation and the fair acts.
Okay. And then so see, I think it was Oregon in the past couple years has legalized like a lot more like shrooms for so they started a program with that to help people with major depression to try to microdose. So that, do you ever think like something like shrooms could also maybe one day like
Yeah,
down the line?
psilocybin.
Yeah.
So psilocybin definitely. I mean, cannabis, you would never ever find anybody dead in their bed in the morning from overdosing on cannabis. It's not physically possible. It's not physically possible to overdose on psilocybin. You can have a really bad trip like you can with cannabis and with mushrooms. It's really important to regulate the intake and have whether that's a a medicine guru, somebody who knows their, a shaman, somebody, a guider to help you along your path of what you need. For sure, on a therapeutic level to use these drugs. I'm not sure if Oregon has legalized it or decriminalized it. They might have legalized it. I'm unsure right now exactly what's going on. I do know that Colorado and some other states are definitely decriminalizing it, meaning you can't go to jail for it, and they're not allocating funds. But I definitely think that we're going to see a more holistic approach to depression, because depression is a topic that we're just now normalizing, right?
Yeah.
And for so long, the pharmaceutical industry said that they could handle it, but we're seeing that that's not the case, and that people are having 20, 30 years on medication that's actually maybe not helping or making it worse, or only helped for a brief amount of time. Some people have great results and some people don't. So I think some people want to take a more holistic approach because maybe it doesn't hurt. There's not long-term effects on their organs. Maybe they're having more insight. I think psychedelics can be a wonderful retuning of the receptors and an insight into other ways of thinking, and take you out of this sort of maybe you're on a treadmill and you can't get off that treadmill in thought, and it might just knock you off that treadmill onto a journey that is better to open up the brain and heal a little.
Yeah, so actually that's it's like Aaron Rodgers, so that the quarterback who now is on the Jets.
Yes.
So that's what he famously does. Like so I forget exactly what it's, but it's probably like mushrooms or something like that.
Yeah.
And he just goes in a cave for a couple of days just to kind of get away from society and kind of to like reset himself and stuff. And like I always think of that as
Right. I mean, if you think about tribes from Native American to South America to Africa, I'm sure from peyote to ayahuasca, this isn't uncommon that people used it in a religious manner where they would sort of feel enlightened or just open up their thought and visions. It's not a party thing per se. It's a journey. It's a spiritual journey for a lot of people. And there's nothing wrong. And then there's the idea of microdosing, that it sort of opens up the brain. I mean, a lot of people believe that mushrooms, whether that's the psychedelic kind, or just regular mushrooms, that we don't use enough of them, that through thousands of years we used it from the earth, and that we sort of kind of forgot that there are all these different types of mushrooms that help us with different ailments.
Yeah. All right. So it's like that since we're talking about the use of like some of these psychedelics, that there was so there's a theory that I heard, and that this could be true, but I don't know, because I have no evidence to back this up, but that there was a theory that so it's like our ancestors, like the monkeys, like our monkey ancestors, that like that the reason why we evolved for monkeys is because that they discovered some type of psychedelic like mushrooms or something that were
Oh, I
these
love that
yeah
theory. That is so great. I haven't heard that, but why not? They're like, this is what we could be.
yeah. So Q know, I mean Q knows. I mean, like obviously like that
Listen,
none of us can prove
anything
it.
is possible.
Yeah, I mean,
I love that
yeah.
theory though. That's the
So,
best theory I've heard. That set my week into a really good motion.
yeah, seriously, I think like seriously, I definitely want to do some more research on this, but
Let's
like
do some more research on
yeah.
that. That's
Yeah,
terrific. Evolution of man through mushrooms.
yeah, so that's a big theory. What's yeah, I heard that from a few places. Like Joe Rogan, I think brought that up once again. Like Joe Rogan is
Oh, I could
like is
hear
it
Joe Logan do
yeah.
yeah.
So it's again like Joe Rogan isn't like the most reliable source of
Uh-huh.
info, but that's a very like interesting theory to think about. Is like, that one
Yeah.
day that like a monkey decides to eat something and try it out, and then like millions of years later, here we are. Like,
I guess we could say that about almost anything, huh?
yeah, just trial and error. That's what I think. Just like
There we
that's how I
go.
made it this far. Trial and
There we
error.
go. There we go. All right. Well, this has been amazing, Matt. I
Oh,
can't,
thank
all the
you.
questions were just really insightful for me to even rethink through these thoughts. So thank you for spawning my past memory to the frontal lobe.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on today. It was very fun talking to you, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what you had to say, I guess, and like
You're
just like have
yeah.
this
Uh,
conversation.
I would love to do this again. Maybe think of some future I mean, we're evolving in this space, so I'm sure in 2 or 3, 4 months from now, there'll be a whole nother conversation of where we are.
Yes. So for sure, like I definitely think there could be another conversation we could have here. So yeah, it was
Terrific.
very yeah. So it was very nice seeing you. It was very
You
nice
too.
talking to you.
I look forward to the
Yeah.
next one.
Same here. I should definitely come up one day, and that maybe we could do it when I come up to New
Oh,
York.
that would be wonderful. I love
Yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah. So that maybe we should do that one day. So that you actually one last question before I go.
Okay.
So this is for the people, just in case people are interested, which I'm going to leave a link to your website in my description. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
but for those who might be up in New York and like might be interested in checking you out, that do you have a store up in New York, or is it just all digital?
I don't have a store. My CBD is online, and then I will be launching in August in THC dispensaries, the legal dispensaries in New York. So and it's Jenny's with a heart. So it's jennyloves.me is my THC brand. www.jennyloves.me is the THC brand, but the CBD brand is jennysbakedathome.com. And so you can go get the CBD online, and in the stores, in the dispensaries in New York, you can get the THC products.
Oh, that's very cool. So, see, I didn't know that you were having a THC store open up. So, I'm definitely going to have to check it out now. Come up and
Awesome.
so,
Uh,
so, so, like one day, if you wouldn't mind me coming up and like maybe making a video out of it, that would you mind me doing that? Or
I would love that. I would be honored.
oh,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Thank
All right.
you.
So, with that being said, I will see you next time, Jenny,
I'll
for the
see you next
future.
time. Mwah.
See ya.
Thank you.
So, no
Bye.
problem. Bye.